If you see my video on strange websites and online rabbit holes, you probably already know that I spend way too much time looking up odd and obscure websites. Sometimes when I'm researching, I just find individual posts that are bizarre or kind of creepy. So in this video, I'd like to present 3 weird or disturbing online posts that I've stumbled upon. The first post I'd like to discuss is an archived eBay listing for what's supposed to be a rug. It was listed as unique prayer rug for $333,000. Please read the description in order to discover, and it was posted in 2019. There are 2 photos attached. One is an actual rug, but the main photo is of a little boy. Unfortunately, the archive of the listing doesn't allow me to zoom in for a closer look at the rug. The rug itself cost $333, but the shipping was listed as being $333,000, which is obviously pretty suspicious. The seller was located in Uzbekistan, but regardless of where they are, there isn't really a justifiable reason that shipping would actually cost that much. The seller notes for the rug were also weird, and read, "When you have everything but you still feel emptiness. When your hands could reach the sky but you have no will to step ahead and you can't see meaning in anything around. When you want to change all but don't know how to start. Get this unique prayer rug with story and start to feel spiritual peace. Because if God wills, this prayer rug will be your shield against hell. As a single drop of tears shed for the sake of God can put out the fire of hell. May Almighty reward you with paradise if you buy this unique asset for the sake of Him." The description of the item was similar and again mentions tears, with the seller writing, "I can't offer you the key of paradise, but I can offer you unique prayer rug which will lead you to paradise if you." Unique prayer rug and handkerchief filled with tears for the sake of God during congregation prayer and Dua Khatam al-Quran on Laylat al-Qadr. Only God knows the real value of this prayer rug, and this can be appreciated only by those who loves Him. I believe there are still people who are not negligent for the sake of Almighty. May God reward those who are generous for the sake of Him. Starting price USD $333,000. Buy it now price depends on your generosity. Cryptocurrency is acceptable. They included their email address to allow anyone to contact them. The line about the price depending on your generosity is very strange. It seems as if the seller was willing to accept other offers for the listing. It's also notable that the seller specified accepting cryptocurrencies because they're often a far more private and anonymous way of exchanging money. I'd also like to mention that users in a 4chan thread pointed out a possible connection between the use of the phrase unique prayer rug and handkerchief to leaked emails between John Podesta and Susan Sandler during the Pizzagate scandal. In the emails, Susan said that they found a handkerchief with a pizza-related map on it and says that if John left it there, she would send it to him. John replied saying that it's his but not to worry about it. There's of course absolutely no proof that this means anything, both in the context of the email and with regards to this listing, but I thought I'd mention it as it's a pretty weird coincidence. So now if we take a look at the top, we'll see the listings that people who looked at this also clicked on. One was a sponsored post of a necklace, but the next 2 seem to be from the same or a similar seller. The first shows a different picture of a young child and the same price as this rug. Beside it, there seems to be another post of the same rug featured in this one, again costing the same amount. Unfortunately, these ads weren't archived and they've been taken down, so I can't take a closer look, but I'd be interested to know if they had a similar description. The user who made the listing made their account in 2018, but they're no longer registered on eBay and you can't see what other listings they made. I'm not sure if they deleted the account themselves or if it was taken down, because a few anons in the thread mentioned reporting the user to both eBay and the FBI. I wanted to mention this in the video because this listing reminded me a lot of the Wayfair conspiracy theories, where furniture was being massively overpriced and the names and descriptions were sketchy. The Wayfair child trafficking rumors were apparently debunked, but it's still an interesting connection between the two given the similarities. I obviously can't prove that this was some sort of child trafficking listing, but the price, the photo of the child, and the numerous mentions of tears all stand out to me as potential evidence for this disturbing theory. The next posts I'd like to discuss are the posts made on EARONS, a forum dedicated to finding the East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker, and Golden State Killer. For anyone unfamiliar with these crimes, here's a quick rundown. First, a serial rapist committed over 40 attacks in California between 1976 and 1979, and became known as the East Area Rapist. Then between 1979 and 1986, 10 people were murdered in California. The killer was first called the Original Night Stalker, and was later referred to as the Golden State Killer. In 2001, these crimes were linked together using DNA evidence, and in 2018, investigators were able to use the crime scene DNA to create a profile on a genealogy database. This is how they caught the killer, a man named Joseph D'Angelo. In total, he admitted to burglarizing the homes of 120 people, raping 50, and murdering 13. He is now serving 12 life terms plus 8 more years. This case is disturbing enough in itself, but what I'd like to discuss today are the forum posts that some users allege that D'Angelo may have made about his own crime before he was caught. The user suspected of being D'Angelo before he was arrested went under the name CBK on the EARONS board. The username is actually the first potential clue, as there are a number of possible connections to D'Angelo. The first is that it stands for cold-blooded killer. Others have suggested it might mean creekbed killer, another name he was known as during his crime sprees, or Claude, Brian, Katie, which are the names of D'Angelo's first 3 victims. Another user also mentioned that it could stand for the initials of 3 women in his immediate family, Connie, Becky, and Kathleen. But the main cause for this speculation is CBK's posts themselves. In a post speculating on one of the dates of some of the attacks could mean, CBK said that the killer's birthday was probably close to more than one. This was proven to be correct. D'Angelo's birthday is November 8th, and 2 of the murders were on November 11th, while another was on the 15th. CBK also made a post 3 years before D'Angelo was caught asking rather specific legal questions about trial and procedure. Other users found it a bit odd that CBK was focusing on what would happen if the killer was caught before the police even had a name or a suspect. These posts can be taken in a few ways. 1. It was D'Angelo trying to misdirect the users by acting clueless about legal procedures because he was a former police officer. 2. He was starting to get worried about getting caught and he was asking what might happen to him. And 3. CBK wasn't D'Angelo at all and it was just simply a curious user wondering ahead to what might happen if the killer was caught and arrested. Another somewhat suspicious post made by CBK is in response to a user describing the difficulties law enforcement was having with DNA testing. CBK replied, "To see what is in front of one's nose is a constant struggle," which could be taken as a sort of taunt to law enforcement failing to see him on his own forum. This type of reply was a common theme for CBK, as he answered several other users with similar vague quotes. However, like the other posts, this could be completely innocuous. CBK also deleted many of his posts before disappearing from the site, which has led to further speculation because there doesn't really seem to be a logical reason as to why. Later, mods on the forum found out that CBK actually had several accounts. One such account was called RER. Interestingly, this is the same name as a radio station that D'Angelo liked to listen to called Red Eye Radio. The last reason why people theorize that CBK was Joseph D'Angelo is the timing of his final login to the site. He was a fairly active user and made over 100 forum posts. However, he last logged in on April 24th of 2018, which is the exact day that Joseph D'Angelo was arrested. Of further interest is the time of the last login, which was 5:47 p.m. Joseph D'Angelo was apparently at home cooking a roast when he was arrested, and his computer screen was covered by a towel. It's possible that he was logged into the forum as he was being arrested, and then his computer was shut down or his login timed out. CBK being Joseph D'Angelo has been refuted, though. One argument is that he would have been in his 70s, and it seems unlikely that he would be internet savvy enough to be posting on the forums. But this doesn't rule out the possibility completely. The other argument against CBK was that he made several wrong predictions, but again, this doesn't necessarily prove anything either way because he could have been trying to misdirect other users. Lastly, it's been pointed out that the IP address CBK logged in from on the last day didn't align with the zip code of where he was arrested, meaning that he couldn't be D'Angelo and it was just a weird coincidence. Some people disputed this by saying that he could have been using a VPN, but again, it's a bit dubious that an elderly man with no background in programming or technology would use one. It's too bad that I'm not sponsored because this would have been such a good spot to squeeze in a NordVPN ad. In the end, there are plenty of arguments both for and against CBK being D'Angelo's account on the forum. There's no concrete proof that it's him, and all the evidence is entirely circumstantial. I just think it's an interesting theory and extremely creepy if it's true. While both of the previous posts I talked about are unconfirmed, this last one is based on a chilling real event. Here's the profile of Newgrounds user Regret, who described himself as a Native American teenage stoner industrialist. His age is listed as 16 years old. In 2004, Regret submitted 2 Flash animations that were fairly gruesome but went relatively unnoticed by other users at the time. I'll show you them now. Here's the first one, which he called Target Practice. The second one is called Clown. Originally, the backing track was an Evanescence song, but I had to leave that out because of copyright. I'll show you a silent version of it, but it's definitely eerier with sound, so I'll link it in the description. The content of these animations is fairly creepy, but what's far more disturbing is what happened after they were posted. In real life, Regret was a teenage boy named Jeff Weiss, and he was living in Minnesota. On March 21st of 2005, Jeff shot and killed his grandfather and his grandfather's girlfriend at their home. Afterwards, he took the gun and his grandfather's police cruiser and drove to school, where he murdered a security guard, a teacher, and 5 students. He also injured 15 other people. Then, after a shootout with police where he was injured, Jeff committed suicide in one of the classrooms. In total, he killed 9 others. Jeff had a turbulent family life, and he was reportedly bullied in school. In May and June of 2004, he attempted suicide twice, and he was prescribed Prozac for depression. These attempts were just a few months before he posted the animations on Newgrounds. Jeff often retreated to the internet to confide his feelings in others. His MSN profile is an especially eerie foreshadowing of the shootings. On it, he lists his interests as military, high schools, and death and dying. He describes himself as being 16 years of accumulated rage suppressed by nothing more than brief glimpses of hope, which have all but faded to black, and says, "I can feel the urges slipping through the cracks, the leash that I can no longer hold." His favorite things are listed as moments where control becomes completely unattainable, times when maddened psychopaths open the gates to hell and let chaos flood through, and those few individuals who care enough to reclaim their place. If you look at the section called Hobbies and Interests, you'll see that he listed them as being planning, waiting, and hating. He generally didn't confide his true feelings in people he knew in real life, and instead he posted on various sites about his loneliness and depression. I won't go through all of them here, but I'll leave a document in the description box below where you can look through 93 pages of them if you're interested. It contains social media posts and stories that he wrote. I'd also like to note that Jeff made several posts on neo-Nazi forums where he expressed agreement with Hitler's actions and said that he deserves great respect for what he did. He also quoted Hitler and referenced him in several of his usernames and posts. In one forum post, Jeff mentioned that in 2004 he was accused of being a potential school shooter and says that it was for good reasons because he was unpopular, dressed in all black in a trench coat, and the shooting was supposed to be on Hitler's birthday. At the time, he didn't mention having any plans of committing a school shooting. As I mentioned, all of the posts he made went largely unnoticed by others until after the killings. It makes these animations extremely eerie to watch knowing what happened just a year after they were posted, especially when you consider the parallels between the way target practice ended and the real-life spree killing. I also have one bonus post I'd like to mention in this video. In a 2013 4chan thread about weird occurrences, unsolved mysteries, and bizarre happenings, a user posted this photo. 2 Anons replied to the OP asking where the photo came from and saying that there were no other results on Google. The OP replied with another unsettling photo from the blog and said, "Leaked photos from a real fucked up personal blog. She had multiple pages uploaded before someone reported them for suspicious activity. The blogger would simply title each new photo Amanda 1 or Amanda 2. The author of the blog didn't type much personal stuff, and when they did, it would be weird shit talking about Amanda, who I expect was the girl in the photo. She would say something like, 'Went out today without my darling Amanda. I locked the door so she should be safe.' And one that really stood out, which was like, 'I didn't give Amanda food this week. She looks much prettier this way.' I think that's probably what got her reported. People probably felt uneasy and couldn't tell if this was just an art student trolling or a real fucked up person keeping a girl captive. I have a few more pages, but they're mostly fetuses. It could have been a woman who had a ton of miscarriages or couldn't have a baby of her own, so she was obsessed with others. Anyways, blog only stayed up for a few months. Some person on X posted the URL and it got popular fast, didn't last long after that. The story was corroborated by another poster who says that they were around at the time, but their power went out and they missed what happened. They asked for more photos or information, but the OP doesn't reply to them in later posts. This is unfortunately where the trail ends. None of the original posts about the blog seem to be archived, and no amount of searching has even confirmed the existence of it, as it's seemingly only mentioned on this one thread. This post has really stuck with me ever since I first saw it. I've made countless searches and haven't gotten anywhere. It's possible it's a hoax or an obscure creepypasta, but I'm extremely curious regardless. If anyone knows what the poster is talking about or has any leads, please leave a comment and let me know. And those are all the posts that I have for you today. This is a bit of a shorter video because I'm a student and it's currently the middle of finals. I hope you enjoyed it and decide to stick around because my next video is going to be a really interesting story. As always, thank you so much for watching.